Hello, I'm Carl Holtey, probably known to the initiated for making my planes, but here I am with one of my latest planes, which has been a bit of a long haul to get here. It started life on the drawing board probably about a few years ago now, and I thought I'd never get here, and then I wondered whether I do this or not, but we've done it, and we're here, and now here I'm to talk about it. The 987, that'll do, we'll stop there. It's a very high angle finishing plane. It's an extremely solid short chassis. The bottom is 10.5 thou thick. The sides, I would say 5.5 mil thick. Well, we can take it to pieces and have a look at it. Here we are, lever cap, very simple lever cap. It probably starts life out with something like this. Comes out of a bar, which I would make up like this. So that's all milled and true, and then we've got something to start with. And then these would all be sitting together there holding hands. And I can then do my milling, and I'll do all my polishing. This is all polished, everywhere's flat. And then I can just chop them up individually along here. I get 6 out of one of these. And then that's ready for profiling, but that's enough on that. So it gives you some idea that we're not playing at this, we try to make a proper job. So we've got a lever cap, and we've even got a thumb screw, and I'm sure that will be pretty enough and it serves its purpose. The blade, again, quite simple. Always been still using the A2, which when I first started, everybody else had to follow, but there we go. I'm still doing it. Probably even getting good at it. And this shows the striking posts, which is fairly simple, but they're all turned out individually. This is just a piece of stainless steel, but this is my A2 blade, which is hardened and then ground on all surfaces all round. I think I put a lot more finishing and effort when it goes in to making this plane. You can see we've got all the nice, all just basically the way it's supposed to be. I mean, as I say, I don't do these just to play at it. I like to get to where I want to. And that's that. Oh, of course, this end will be peened over with a nice end finished like this, which would have normally been flushed off, but I thought it's pointless doing that because I've just weakened it and made it inferior, and it's not an eyesore, so that's there to stay. And that would have been done on this little machine over here, which is the best thing that's came into this workshop, because I could talk about that for a while there, but we don't need to, we've seen it now. And the plane, again, once more, we might as well take it apart and we can see how it's all, what we've really got here. Oh, while I'm unscrewing this handle, I like to have a rest in between, because it takes forever. You got the bridge here, which is part of the spar of the handle. The blade comes to rest here so that it can shunt backwards and forwards by about 5 or 6 mil before it drops off. And the great thing about this is that when the blade goes in, it rests on there and it can't be passed through the mouth. And you can see that that's already allowed to stick through the bottom. And that's all what's needed. But to me, it's so important that I only want to support the blade at that end and this end here. And then when all the pressure is applied, I've got everything all bearing down on a precision line there. So that's got that out of the way with. By the way, this was also used in my 985, which was one of the nicest smoothers. I really like that plane a lot, and probably just, I think I nearly sold them all. I might just have one left. That came out. I thought I could be there forever. Rightio, any minute now. Sometime this week, that'll be fine. There we are. all three. These, all part of the spar, the hexagon, brooch through the handle. If you can see, I'll look through the camera with you there so we can just see the light through the end, and you might even see the hexagon shape. Done. So we've got that, and then that would go through into there. It would be something like this, and we'd put the end in here. By the way, this is another little part there, an idea which came from the original setting hammers that I made like this. Again, this is a good system because I got no way on this object I could leave my mark. So after a lot of hard thinking, that this came into use here because it requires no driver because of the broaching of the spar that goes through the handle. And then I've obviously it just follows through here because it's perfect. I don't avoid all wrenches, screwdrivers or anything there. I want no tools whatsoever. Everything goes together. There we go. That's it. We've got this here which will fit over to that there and makes a nice tight fit. I'm not going to press this on because I'll probably take too long trying to get it back off again, because it's just important it's tight, that this is a snug fit. Again, you see, it's all, everything I work with is all stainless steel. I only use stainless steel. The days of using ordinary mild steel are long gone, or even brass has come to that. I'll just miss this. While I'm here, I'll mention this. This is a typical mandrel for turning out a section like this. Somewhere in my blog or my website, there's probably some illustration shown on the making of this kind of object. It's just fixed in I usually work on collets on a lathe, and we go in here. That's completely meshed in there, locked, can't move. Put the screw back on again. So it's in the collet. Centre from the tailstock, perfectly rigid, and off to the races. Back to the plane. This is just a fairly tight precision fit. It probably I don't allow any more than a foul because it just has to just go in there. When them sides pinch up, I don't want any noticeable change in any dimensions or anything, because everything is just true and parallel. If you can say again, you can look through here, and you might even see me through the hole. But it's all that is for. It's just for that to engage. And so, looking at it this way, when you're doing this, you've got the two handles here, and that there, we're pinching the plane sides up in the middle, and that is basically that. Then, when they're all up tight, then you've got a very rigid spar. Took me a long time just to get the finer details on that one, and now I'm perfectly happy with it, and I wouldn't change it no matter how many more times I can play at it. I think that is there because the rigidity is about as good as it gets. I think we've more or less flashed this one to death. This is the same fabrication as we got on the 986, and that's with all the dowels going through, which is machined in situ. You can probably find this on my website. How about this? We got a 986 chassis form. And you can, as you can see, I'm not going to pull this apart because I'll be fiddling with it for too long now. But they're all integral, these rivets, and then they're there just ready to go back onto my favourite machine over in the corner. And it can turn a job that would have taken me. Well, I don't like talking about time because I don't get rich in what I do. Sometimes it'll take a very long time, and sometimes I come across a discovery that I can make a saving. So that means that we get to put jam on my bread. It's not really that easy, but it's what I do, and I'm still happy to be here at 78 years old, and I'd like to be around for a bit longer. And so I've got more projects on the way. This is still waiting now to go back together. I'm going to... You're not going to go in there, are you? If you are, I'll make you go in. And then pick it up, twist it and wriggle it a bit until we all find centres. As you notice that this here is the same diameter, they're all precision fits. So once these are all in position and they're tight, I mean, that is in a true position, so everything's all parallel. This one will do. Again, you see, it just, to me, I think I've got it about as right you can. You just have to get the threads to pick up and everything centered all in line. This is all feels good. Anytime today. I'm not going anywhere, are we? Right. Right. Ready to lock. We're locked now. Put the blade back in. This is a good point at this stage, is to put the blade in like that. I'm flat here, the surface is clean, and this is this piece of paper. A bit of paper's handy too when it comes to setting, so you've got something to look against. And it's going to be somewhere near, so it gives you a good starting place, and then we can put the lever cap in position. Didn't see my lever cap, did you? Oh, well, you got it there now, it's in your face. Yes, I remember now, I showed you it all. Yeah, just a very light tap. I've got me a bit of white paper. I'll see, as I thought, the blade is very, very close. It's very light pressure, and we can tinker around a bit. Any old hand will do, better if you've got Holtey though. One thing about the setting hammer is it's not just made for setting planes. This can be used for a tool maker, a machinist, or anybody that has to do with setting up as a living. This is it. As you can see, it's not got a silly long handle. I mean, I want to be close to the job so I can control it. All nice and tight, everything feels right, and everything's all nice and easy. My eyes are not as good as what they used to be, but I can get there. Some people will get there much faster than me. And that's about it. And lock it up. And again, we're off to the races again. That's it, we can go. Okay, let's move over to the work area. Right. Okay, what we got here, curly maple. I don't have a great selection of woods here, especially those nice light fluffy ones making nice white fluffy shavings and are no good for anything else. But this is the woods that I use, but this is some stock that I had left over there when I made my T21s. Pretty wood. You can probably go to my website and you'll probably find some, even going back in the Instagram histories that they've got this plane. But it's a very, very difficult grain because, as you can see by its nature, that's why I call it curly maple. So let's see now, and we can go and pull off a simple shaving. We'll get a few started and we'll be on the way. There we go. Let's have a look. Put down this, let's have a look, pick out a nice thin shaving here. I can put a little vernier on there, and you can see that's the object of how any thinner, and it would probably just wouldn't stay together. You can get a little bit there. This is probably just a tiny little bit thicker, but you can see that this grain, which is as you can see here, it's just going up and down like that, and yet you can plane it off in a line, and it's there. It's all just hanging together still. So I like that. I don't know how many other people work with this material, but when I'm making my plane bodies, I'll probably just go over it across on for face mill on a milling machines, and if I've got the right tips in there, that cuts that off just like glass. And it's the end result that justifies the means, I suppose, really, and that's all I'm about, really. I don't care how I get there, it just has to be right. So we could go back to the bench, and I'll tell you a little bit more. The handle originally started off from the purfling cutter. This blowout here, I don't like mess everywhere. Having explained this earlier, there's this chap here. I'd made a couple of these and I thought, oh, well, it's not my business, but for having a friend in at Veritas, Mr. Robin Lee himself, liked this, and I think, well, I said you can make it if you want, and he did, and we did a limited edition, and I was happy to be involved with, and so we have this. It's nice and easy. Again, we got the same locking principle with the handle being broached, so we got a hexagon spindle going through it. I've made a few improvements on this type of thing, but this is where everything really come from and started from. And again, the nice shape that actually fits a human hand. And I think we've probably gone about as far as we can. I'm just thinking now of the next project. So I've got a few here which are already starting to find a home, and I'm not too sure what I've got left, but I might still have one or two left that I can still find homes for. So I think we'll stop there.